video, I will be sharing with you 8 tips on how to be a successful landlord. This is Casey Franchini with Brick by Brick Wealth. But before we get started, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, and ring the bell so you can be notified of my future videos. And also, if you stay at the end, I have a special little surprise for you, so stay tuned. Tip number 1, treat this like a business. Be professional. Dress for success. When you meet a tenant for the first time, don't be wearing flip-flops, cut-off jeans, backwards hat, smelling stanky. Seriously, put your best foot forward. Show them that you're serious and show them that you're the boss. You don't want to come across being lazy and like a teenager, because then they will walk all over you. When you see them the first time, make sure your car is cleaned. Make sure you have a copy of the lease in case they want to see what requirements are in store for them or what things you cover. You might not have all that memorized, but please have your lease pre-planned and have it written out in advance. Also, bring with you some extra copies of the application in case they want to fill it out right there if they haven't already filled it out before you've met with them. Tip number 2, give them a great house. Make the house look great. Have it painted. Don't have smelly carpet with stains and dog hair from the previous owners. Clean the kitchen, no dust on the blinds. And when you meet them for the first time, just like if you were to go to an open house that you were looking to buy, when you go to an open house, the realtors invite you in, all the lights are on, it smells good inside, nothing's dirty. That's what you want to do too. Pretend you're the realtor and you're having an open house. Basically, you want to show the tenants, this is how great my house is. This is what it looks like, and this is how I'd like you to keep it. If you show them a dark, dingy, nasty house, that's probably how they're going to keep it. But if you're proud of what you're showing them and you've done good work on the house, you don't have spider webs hanging down in the corners because you've never cleaned up. You want to have it look nice for them. You want them to want to live there because you're basically trying to sell them a place to live in the form of rent. So you're trying to sell them on your house, so make it look good. And you want the best tenants because the good tenants, they know they're good tenants and they can go other places and they can get a nicer looking place if they want. So you want your place to be the nicest looking place. Tip number 3, be available 24/7. It's your job as a landlord. If you don't want to hire out a property management company to take care of all of the nitty-gritty dirty work for you, then you have to be available. You have to be on call. You can't take week-long vacations to the beach with no internet reception and expect your tenants to be happy when you get back because they've been trying to reach you for a week because their air conditioner broke in the summer. So know how to fix things that could go wrong, and if you can't fix them yourself, have a subcontractor list in your email that you've called in advance, that you know what their emergency rates are in case of an emergency, and you can call them if the air conditioner were to break and you're not going to go fix that on Christmas Eve, or you're not going to go fix it at 10 o'clock at night because you got your 3 kids in bed. You can then call them and they can go fix it for you the next day because you have a rapport with them and you already know how much it's going to cost and you're not freaking out. Tip number 4, stick to the contract. And this might be one of the most important tips for being a successful landlord. A successful landlord is one who does not give in to every demand. You have to be able to see through the lies and understand that, paying rent is a priority, and you need to make sure that they know paying rent is a priority. If you're going to give them a freebie once, just understand that you do it once, you're going to be doing it again. It's really hard, and I understand that it's case by case, scenarios, but you just need to be prepared that the more leeway you give, the harder it's going to be to rein in your control. Remember, this is your business. Being a landlord is what's going to make you money. It's what's going to create generational wealth for your family. And if you can't get it right with this tenant, what makes you think you're going to be able to get it right with the next one? So you need to be a stickler. I'm doing this for passive income. It does take some work, but the more properties that you have, the more passive it becomes, and the better you are at picking the right tenant, the less problems that you're going to have. So if you're looking for passive income, I want to hear it. Type passive income below in the comments. Tip number 5, pick the right tenant. Don't get greedy. Don't charge the most rent that you can in the market. You look around at Craigslist or you look on Realtor.com and Zillow and you try and see how much you could rent your place for. And then you go, well, my place is great. I'm going to rent it for $2,000 a month. That's the top of the market. I've got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I can rent it for that. Maybe you don't want to rent it for that. Rent your house below market slightly so that you can get a bigger pool of tenants to choose from. If you're renting your house at the highest end, you're going to get the tenants that can't afford or qualify for the better properties. So you want to make sure it's a little bit lower so those good potential tenants come to your house and want to rent your house out. Don't pick someone because you're in a rush. You know, someone has a fistful of money and they say, I've got first and last month's rent, or I've got first and deposit, I've got cash right here, I want to move in Friday. You're like, oh, dang, really? They've got cash, they're ready to hand it to me right now. I want them to move in. Yes, I don't have to do any more work. I can have them move right in. Well, guess what? That's a red flag. Because if they have a hoard of cash and they're wanting to move in within a couple days, you start thinking, wait a minute now, back up, don't get greedy. Why do they want to rent so quickly? Can they not find another place? Will nobody else take them? Are they a last minute sort of person? You know, that raises a lot of flags, and usually I go, okay, thank you, here's an application, send it out, fill it out and send it in, and then I'll let you know when I'm doing showings. Tip number 6, have great communication. You know, it's really important to let your tenants know up front what you require of them. Let them know how you want to get paid, when you want to get paid, and have that conversation with them. They always want to know who's going to do the yard, and you can include that in rent and have someone do it, or they can do it themselves, but those are things that you need to talk over with them, because like I said, often or not, they won't read the whole lease, and they'll have their lawn not be mowed for 3 weeks in the summer, and then they'll have weeds like up to here. So you need to be really crisp and clear with what you require of them. Have great communication. Offer them a cell phone number, 2 cell phone numbers. You, your significant other, or another person who might be helping with the rental properties. Also offer them an email address, be available day and night. And if they're on Facebook, you know, try and get that out of them as well. Sometimes tenants will have multiple phone numbers and you won't know how to get a hold of them, but guess what? They're always on social media, so find them there and you can contact them if you need to. Tip number 7, fix things right away. You know, like I said earlier, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Would you want to sit in the dead cold of winter because your heater broke and your landlord hasn't fixed it? No, you wouldn't. You know, when major things happen like that, the water heater stops working, the air conditioner stops working, the leaky faucet or the toilet doesn't work, those are things that you need to fix right away. I mean, little things like there's a bug in my bathtub, I need you to spray for pests. You know, there's some places or sometimes you need to just put your foot down. You know, direct them towards Home Depot and say you got to go buy a thing of home defense and you spray around your perimeter. You can do that, you know. But things that are major repairs or things that are fixed, that are part of the house, you know, like the air conditioner, like the heater, like the toilet and the sink, you need to make sure those are operational, because if they aren't and you don't fix those sorts of things, it can also cause huge property damage as well, and you don't want a water damage claim, trust me. Tip number 8, figure out how you're going to get paid in advance of the lease signing. Before you sign the lease with your tenant, you want to talk with them and make sure that you can both come to an agreement on how you're going to get rent paid. Are they going to drop it off at your house in the form of a check or cash? Do you want them going to your house, knowing where you live? Another option would be them depositing directly into your bank account. Do you have a bank account that's local that they can actually go to? Or do you have some whack bank from another state that you have to go to random ATMs in the nearest convenience store because you don't have any banks nearby? Do your tenants or potential tenants even have a bank account? How are they going to get money? Are they going to cash their paychecks at the grocery store every week? Then how are they going to bring you the money? You really got to think about that, because one of my biggest pet peeves is going to pick up rent. I love rent and I love getting rent, but what I hate doing is arranging times and days where we're both available so I can go pick it up. Because what that turns into is so-and-so has to work, or I'm not available, or I have to do this, or they have to do that. And before you know it, now rent is late. And it's not their fault, right? Because I wasn't available to pick it up. And then that shows them that it's okay to be late. So just one thing that leads to the next, and it's a big snowball. So try and get your rent paid to you electronically. Try to avoid having to go pick it up at all costs and having them drop it off to you. Otherwise, you also might be if you don't want them coming to your house, you could be waiting around forever, all day long, for them to drop it off. And they say they'll be there at 10 and they don't show up till 6, okay? So try and get that figured out in advance. That's a big one for me. If you don't have a bank account and you can't deposit to my bank, there'll probably be a different tenant that I would choose. Tip number 9, and this is also a very important tip. Document everything. Every big decision or conversation that you have that might affect anything in the lease agreement, please don't talk about it over the phone. Or if you do talk about it over the phone, follow up with an email to that person stating exactly what you talked about over the phone as in a recap. Why? Because you want to have everything in writing. You can even have it in text. Text counts, but it's hard to keep track of. So I would recommend to email your tenants any important information that you had discussed in case you need to bring it to court later to prove something. It's going to be upon you to prove. No one's going to take your word for anything. So if you want to prove things, you got to make sure it's in writing. So whenever I feel like I've had a conversation with a tenant that maybe I should be recording, I send a follow-up email, I print it out, and I put it in that tenant's folder so I can look back at that conversation history, and if I have to show it to a judge, I have some proof. So remember I had something for you at the end. Well, if you look below the video in the description box, I have a free downloadable application that you can download and print out and use right away for your tenants. It's blank, so you can have them fill it right in. And also included in that download are the top 5 things I require from every tenant before they sign a lease. If you enjoyed my video, please like the video below, subscribe to my channel for upcoming videos, and thank you so much for watching Brick by Brick Wealth.